Tanner Morgan would be a better NFL quarterback than Stetson Bennett. I'll tell you why today.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Now this week, you got East-West Shrine Bowl going on. You got Senior Bowl, Reese's Senior Bowl, formerly Reese's. We'll get there, but you got it going on. The prep bowls, the main prep bowls are going on this week. So you're going to see a lot of college prospect news when it comes to the NFL draft. And we've already had quite a bit this week, but only more is bound to come. Now, be sure to follow wherever you get your podcasts at Locked On Golden Gophers if you never want to miss the latest and greatest Gophers content from football, basketball, and hockey. Now, you can find us on YouTube as well, where we're building a community. I love the comments that have been coming in. I love the reaction, and I love the thoughts, to be honest. So keep dropping those comments and keep hitting like and subscribing to let others know we're here and we're building this Gophers community up the right way on YouTube. Now, today I said we're talking about something that's a little bit controversial, and this episode today is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/locked on today to get started. Now, like I said, controversial topic. We're talking about it today, and I mentioned what it was from the get-go, and that is Tanner Morgan would be a better NFL quarterback than Stetson Bennett. I think he's got better upside. I think he's better in certain areas. And now when you hear that, you might be like, yo, this dude is crazy if you're just tuning in for the first time. Or if you've been here and you've been following along, you might be like, look, you've been all aboard the Eighth and Cali McManus hype train. How are you on the Tanner love right now? First of all, don't get me wrong. I got love and respect for Tanner Morgan and what he did for the program. And we'll talk a bit more about how those two quarterbacks for the Gophers will be impactful moving forward. We'll do that on tomorrow's show. But today, I want to talk strictly about Tanner Morgan and Stetson Bennett. So how could a quarterback with no college playoff experience, a lower completion rate, less touchdowns, and got replaced in his final year be better than a two-time college national champion and Heisman candidate? You say it like that, it feels like a stretch, right? Well, it's actually a lot more simple than you would think. See, Tanner Morgan is a better quarterback in areas that matter when it comes to succeeding at the next level, when it comes to intangibles and measurables, when it comes to processing, when it comes to staying within the system, which has been a huge topic in the NFL as of late with the thriving of the Brock Purdy over the back half of the year. And then also in the case of leadership. Those are the areas where I believe Tanner Morgan truly is a level above Stetson Bennett. And I think that's why he could become a better quarterback in the NFL than Stetson Bennett. Now, when it's all said and done, both these guys could end up never playing a snap, never playing a lick of an actual NFL down, but they're both fighting and vying to make it onto a roster and have the chance to fight for a backup quarterback position, whether that be a late day 3 pick or whether that be a preferred free agent after the draft is all said and done. Now, like I said, intangibles and measurables, processing, staying within the system, and leadership. These are areas we've seen from top quality backups over the years, like we saw from Purdy this year, like we've seen from Nick Mullins, like we've seen from Nick Foles, like we've seen from Case Keenum, like we've seen from Matt Flynn. I'm going back and back. We could keep going, but these areas are key focus points for guys that have thrived, whether they were undrafted, whether they were late picks, you name it. That's where they've ran with their opportunity and built upon the things that the NFL is looking for and how they built long careers, even if they weren't always starting. Now, if you're diving into the measurables themselves, Tanner has a clear edge. He was listed at 6'2", 215. Now, I think this week at the East-West Shrine Bowl, he came in at about 6'1", 200 or 6'1", 205. So you can't fudge the height. So he's probably really 6'1". But as far as weight goes, I do believe he probably did play at 215. You got to think he hasn't played a ton of football besides the bowl game because of the concussions, because of the injuries he went through this year. So he probably did drop some weight. He probably is playing down at that 200, 205 range right now. But if you're watching these camps, if you're watching these prep bowls or whatever, he is looking fairly decent. He's looking accurate. He's looking like the quarterback we've seen him be for years. Now, on top of that, if you look at his size compared to what Stetson Bennett is listed at, 5'11", 190. Now, again, if you're thinking college programs fudge their numbers a little bit because they all do, that means he could possibly be closer to 5'10" and might even be under that 190. He could have put on a little weight. He could be higher than that, but still, just immediate measurables, even when Tanner hasn't been playing for the past month of football, really at a heavily competitive level due to the injuries, he still has more size. He still is taller than Stetson, completely different name there, than Stetson Bennett. And you know what? I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Now, if you're looking solely at the box score numbers, you'd probably tell me I'm crazy to see Stetson Bennett's numbers in less games, but have similar and better production in touchdowns, interceptions, yards, completion percentage. I'm not doing myself any favors here as I'm describing this, am I? But you're vastly underestimating or ignoring the difference in the offensive system between these two programs. I mean, even if you look at the Mike Sanford years at OC, that's the guy who was just the interim head coach for Colorado, who got absolutely obliterated game in and game out. He was the OC at Minnesota for years of 2020 and 2021, and that was absolutely Tanner's worst years in his career in college. To be honest, Sanford's system would probably destroy about 90% of the college quarterbacks out there in the nation. He's just not a play caller. I don't know how he fails upward when it comes to getting jobs and moving on to other offensive coordinator or interim head coach positions. It's wild to me. It looks like he's comped off of the success that he's had from players themselves, the personnel he has. When Mo goes absolutely ballistic, they think, oh, maybe Sanford's the reason Mo Ibrahim did so well. No, Mo Ibrahim is the reason he did so well. So, like I said, Sanford's system has been tough for Tanner Morgan in the production area, but in a competent system, I'm not saying it's a world-beating system. I'm not saying it's anything that is the best out there in college football. But in Kirk Ciarrocca's system in 2019, 2022, we saw Tanner Morgan back to passing around 67% completion rate, had higher QB ratings, had better efficiency, was making through the reads, was making the right plays, getting through his progressions. So Tanner's up there when it comes to intellect and knowledge and understanding how things work and playing within the system, which we'll get back to. But I mean, Tanner Morgan played 10 more D1 FBS level games than Stetson Bennett, and he only had 139 pass attempts more. Think about that. He played almost a full season of college more than Stetson Bennett, and he only had 139 more pass attempts. That just goes to show you that Minnesota wasn't throwing the ball a whole lot in his 5 years of starting. On top of that, Stetson Bennett just came off of a year where he passed for 455 attempts in one season this year. He nearly caught up to Tanner in attempts from this one season, stacking on with the couple of years that he had time here and there. That should tell you enough how much this Gophers offense has lacked passing in the past few years. And we've talked about that over and over and over on the show. So it shouldn't be surprising. But Tanner Morgan has done far less when it comes to consistent caliber of talent surrounding them. So overall, the production won't necessarily be something that NFL teams are looking at with Tanner Morgan, but there are 5 abilities, I believe 5 abilities on the field that Tanner Morgan has that can translate to being a decent backup, which is what we're going to discuss coming up next. First, a message from our friends over at FanDuel who bring you the show this year. The only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're really excited to be a new partner, a new sports betting partner with FanDuel, and they are the official sportsbook of Locked On as well, because they're the #1 sportsbook in America. So if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features to make betting on sports fun and easy. So right now, if you download FanDuel, you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with the no sweat first bet. And that's what it is, a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So even if you don't land a winning bet, you're still going to get some sort of reward in bonus bets. So that is awesome on itself. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to the point spreads to who will score a touchdown. So definitely check it out. It's a safe, secure app, and it's super easy to use. And again, you get paid your winnings instantly. So you don't have to, I got to wait like 2 months before I can cash out on. No. Instantly you get paid your winnings. So it's awesome. So join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Gophers fans, thank you so much for listening to Locked On Golden Gophers and making us your #1 listen when it comes to Gophers daily sports. And Locked On is also heading to the Senior Bowl. They're out there right now. And then you can get inside analysis from hosts that covered the NFL's next generation in college and find out which NFL draft boards these players will be climbing, all in one location. You can subscribe to the Locked On NFL Draft for nightly live shows from the Senior Bowl on Tuesday, that's today, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. And now we're back to talking about why Tanner Morgan will be a better NFL quarterback than Stetson Bennett. We talked about the height, the size, the measurables and whatnot, but let's talk about traits on the field. Let's talk about the processing. Let's talk about the ability that Tanner has to understand and make pre-snap reads, which not every quarterback can do in the college level. Let's be honest. There's a lot of quarterbacks that can't do that, but Tanner has been able to make reads and make calls at the line and be able to switch things up and really see what is going on, process, analyze, and move forward with what he is seeing. Now, areas where he doesn't thrive is when he has a heavy pass rush, when you're playing against a top tier defense like in Iowa, like a Georgia, like a Michigan, whatever. If you have a heavy top tier pass rush coming after him, then sometimes he can get rattled when it comes to that. But when it comes to understanding how the plays are setting up pre-snap, he's got that down packed. Now, on top of that, he is also good in the play action game. He reads it and sells it effectively. He resets his feet quickly, and he can get rid of the ball when the passing window is closing or if a defender is near. So that's a strength to have regardless. There wasn't a lot of sacks made on Tanner Morgan, regardless of the year you were talking about. He's pretty effective at getting the ball out. Now, sometimes he had little hiccups here and there, maybe forcing a read as opposed to getting rid of it, especially when he was younger. But it seems like he started to make the right decision as he moved forward, as he got older, as he learned, as he grew on that intellect and that knowledge. Now, on top of that, the biggest thing that is really good for Tanner Morgan moving forward is he has consistent mechanics. He has short dropbacks, and I got this part from PFN. So this is people that are looking at this constantly on the daily, trying to really nitpick and talk about these quarterbacks to the finest. So he has short dropbacks that allow him to step up in the pocket without compromising the depth that the blockers must get to. His shoulders and feet are aligned, allowing him to create consistent velocity. Now, on the flip side, Stetson Bennett is very inconsistent with his mechanics, which can potentially hurt him at the NFL level. Then we move on to he's accurate, especially in the short, in the intermediate or that middling area of the field. He gets the ball out and he drops it on a dime, typically in those areas. The deep passing is hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes it's forced, but like I said, he's able to play within the structure. He's able to play within a rhythm and make the smart plays, not force too much. And that's going to go a long ways in the NFL. He's also able to make anticipatory throws, which I think is huge when it comes to stepping up to the next level. You have to be able to throw a guy open, see where the play is developing, know that this ball has to come out ahead of time, and be able to hit him in the spot as the time he turns that head around, whips the neck around, and finds the ball immediately. It needs to be on him in the matter of moments. So you're typically having to make those anticipatory throws. Now, Tanner's made those throughout his entire career. It's something that has been impressive for him, especially when he was a sophomore playing with Rashad Bateman and playing with Tyler Johnson. We saw it all the time. So when you surround him with the caliber of talent, he's typically able to thrive within a system. Now, he's not a quarterback that's going to go out there and do it all on his own, be able to just do it with anybody around him. He needs talent around him. He needs high quality talent or structure around him. Good coaching and all of that will go a long way with Tanner Morgan. Now, we saw Stetson Bennett make some of these throws as well, but there are probably only a handful that we saw anticipatory throws with Stetson Bennett. Now, it's something that he's shown he can do, but again, the consistency isn't quite there. So all of this goes into the key of what will keep teams interested in Tanner Morgan, whether he's drafted or not, whether he goes as a preferred free agent. But if he lands on a roster, if he gets on a team, when it comes to training camp, when it comes to getting into preseason and things like that, he's got good football knowledge, he has system awareness, and he knows how to follow a system to a T, even if it doesn't highlight him as an individual. Now, we've talked about some measurables, we've talked about some traits, but the number one reason why Tanner Morgan is set to be a better quarterback at the next level than Stetson Bennett is by far the most important, and that is what we have to talk about coming up next. Ooh, here we go. We're wrapping this thing up on why Tanner Morgan will be a better quarterback than Stetson Bennett at the next level. And I hope you've stuck with me this far because this is the most important reason, the number one reason why I think he will be a better quarterback at the NFL level. And that is because Bennett's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. People make comments about him having a punchable face, and typically that stems from the disdain of a person and how they come off over the face itself, if we're being honest there. But he shows as cocky on the field. He can taunt, and then he's now getting himself into questionable situations off the field, including this week where he was arrested for public intoxication during the week of the Shrine and Senior Bowl practices. Oh yeah, and that's the same Senior Bowl that he declined an invitation for. If you're serious about doing this NFL thing, if you're serious about setting yourself up for the next level, one, you should probably take the prep bowl game to show off that you should be there, but two, you should be making smarter decisions than putting yourself in that type of limelight ahead of the draft. That definitely took a shot at his draft stock. Meanwhile, Tanner Morgan has been grinding. He was in the Hula Bowl and got a Hula Bowl invite. That was the only invite he had coming in. And he did well in the Hula Bowl. He was probably one of the better players on the entire field when it came to the Hula Bowl, and it got him an invite to the East-West Shrine Bowl. Head down, keep working, pushes, and gets to this East-West Shrine Bowl. Now he's got his head down, and he's going to keep working, and you're seeing highlights come out of one-on-ones where he's dropping a dime in the bucket on one-on-one drills with the DBs and the receivers. This isn't just his approach for the Prep Bowl, but for adversity at every step of the way. He has overcome the loss of his father in playing through that. He is leading the team when they lose their top running back. Actually, they lose their top 3 running backs in 2021. Keeps pushing to a 9-4 record and 1 game away from heading to Indianapolis. Pushing back through 2 head injuries and eventually leading to a short and limited final season of his college career. But he keeps helping coach up the young guy, keeps pushing himself, keeps making himself there for his team. And when it comes time to step up, because the quarterback, Ethan Kaliakmanis, gets injured in the bowl game, steps up, drops a dime immediately for a touchdown, goes on to throw 2 touchdowns in the bowl game, delivering a win for the bowl game. That's 5 straight victories in bowls during his time as a starter. It's just Tanner Morgan steps up when it's asked of him. Whether it's fun, whether it's gritty, whether it's doing the boring work, he does what is required. And that leadership, that mentality, and that humbleness will be the reason, the number one reason on why he will be a better quarterback at the NFL level, a better backup, a better teammate than Stetson Bennett. The way he rallied his team together after injuries, the way he took on a coaching role with the young quarterbacks after the injury, the way he carries himself in the pressers and off the field, it all goes a long way. Now you pair that with the measurables, with the intangibles, with the better processing of sorts, and you keep it simple when asked. For 2 guys that are looking to secure a job and win the job as a backup or be a scout quarterback on these teams and fight and claw their way onto a roster, I'll take Tanner Morgan every time. That's going to do it for us here at Locked On Golden Gophers. We're going to keep talking football tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you exactly why Tanner Morgan is the reason Ethan Kaliakmanis will thrive moving forward in his career. We got to talk about it. It's important, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. That's going to do it for us. Row the boat, Sky Yuma, go Gophers, and be sure to subscribe.